So I bought this recently. I needed a new bottle because we'd sold out on visionaryfragrances.com, my sample website, and I've been through a few bottles of this over the years. I first bought this about 4 years ago when I started my, fragrance collecting. It was one of the first fragrances I bought because it was a cheap fragrance, and it was said back then it was one of the best cheap fragrances that you can buy. And I wonder now if it still has the same price value proposition as it did sort of 4 years ago. So we're going to talk about this today. We're going to go through my review of Bentley For Men Intense. So we're going to spray it on our hand, and if you've got the fragrance, do spray it on your hand as well, and we'll go through the fragrance together. So when you first spray it, the first kind of punch you get of spraying Bentley For Men Intense is you notice it's very woody, it's strong, it's masculine. It's undoubtedly a masculine smell. It just smells like a strong, confident man straight away as soon as you spray it. There's nothing sweet, there's nothing light, there's nothing citrusy. It's dense, it's heavy, and it's very woody. To me, it has an almost dry character because there is little sweetness, and to me, it comes across as quite a dry fragrance. Very strong dry woods, and you have leather, and this also has an incense note. When you have an incense note in a fragrance, to me at least, it can come across as, I don't want to say old school necessarily, but mature. It comes across as a mature fragrance. So smelling Bentley For Men Intense does not give you a sense that it is for someone in the early 20s or teenage years. Now, I am a believer that you can wear fragrances at any age and in whatever situation. You should wear whatever makes you feel comfortable. But if we are generalizing who this fragrance would be for, I would say just from the smell alone, it comes across as a more mature fragrance because of the incense note, the leather, and the patchouli. This has a patchouli note in there, which adds a bit of earthiness to this. So you have incense, leather, and patchouli in the base notes that give it a really strong, earthy, and leathery feel. You have a lot of these dry, dense, heavy, masculine smelling notes, and the rum is introduced as something that binds everything together because it almost has a hint of sweetness to it, especially when it dries down. So I've noticed on my skin, once you reach the far dry down of Bentley For Men Intense, it just becomes a tiny bit sweeter from the rum note, and that works really well with the dry and dense notes that we've already mentioned. The price of this absolutely shocks me. This is £25. I think I paid slightly less, about £22 I bought this for, but it normally fluctuates between like 25 and 35. That has always been the price. I remember when I bought this about 4 years ago, like I said, it was probably the same price, maybe even a tiny bit more expensive than I've just paid for this bottle, which is quite astounding really, because at the moment, fragrances are just going through the roof. I mean, I'm replacing a lot of fragrances because of my sample website, and I've noticed an increase in fragrance prices almost every time I replace bottles, which in some cases with the popular fragrances can be every few weeks. So £22, £25, £30 even for Men Intense is a fantastic price because it smells much more expensive than the price deserves. I think it always has been and will be for as long as they make it and as long as they keep it the same. This will always be one of the best, cheaper fragrances that you can buy. It's just not a fragrance that's suited for everyone. It's one that you should try. Even though it's cheap, I still wouldn't recommend blind buying it, simply because it comes across as quite a strong and confident fragrance, and not everybody is going to want to wear this. I think it would be difficult for this to be worn as a signature scent, but it depends on your personality. I personally wouldn't want to wear this all year round, but if you are someone strong, confident, and you think you can wear this kind of dense, woody fragrance all year round, then absolutely go for it. But for me, I think this works really well as an evening scent or going out fragrance. Now, the performance is excellent, not just for a fragrance in this price point. It has good performance objectively. Even for an expensive fragrance, the performance is very good, and also the smell is very good as well. So when I say it's a good fragrance, I'm not just saying that because of the price. It's a good fragrance objectively. If this was 50, 60, 70 pounds, it would still be an excellent fragrance. Now, if you want something that has a slightly similar scent profile, but nowhere near as heavy, nowhere near as woody, but also has a beautiful liquor note like whiskey or rum, I would recommend trying Givenchy Gentleman Reserve Privé. This is a easier to wear fragrance than Bentley For Men Intense. It's softer, has a beautiful iris note, comes across more formal, and it's a more delicate, you could say more romantic fragrance, but it has a beautiful whiskey note, whereas Bentley For Men has a rum note, but very similar boozy notes, very similar in the boozy category. And maybe a similar fragrance, but this is much more rough and harder to wear. I think this is fantastic. I think if you're trying to collect cheap fragrances like clones to build up your collection, and you're not giving this a try, I think you really need to try this because it's such a fantastic fragrance for the money. I really love the blend of notes in here. I really love the strong, masculine, undeniably masculine sort of confidence that this gives you. And for the price, the bottle is beautiful, the scent experience is really good, and there is no reason why anyone should not try this. I think it's fantastic. I'm going to give it a 9 out of 10. I hope you enjoyed this review. Let me know, have you tried Bentley For Men Intense? What do you think of it? Does it come across as too challenging to you, or do you think it's a masterpiece? See you soon.